iron sharpens iron. I want to be the best and I want to race against the best, and that's why we're here at SOBO this year.
Hello again, race fans, and welcome to South Boston Speedway. Race fans, get on your feet. It's time to turn and burn again here at South Boston Speedway. Welcome, race fans, to South Boston Speedway. It's here, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. I'm Kyle Haney, Blake McCandless, Scott Shive. Boys, we wait for this moment every year. The moment is here. Blake, I'll let you go first, or second.
Oh, well, I guess that's the way to do it. But anyway, it's just so excited to be here for my second year in a row being here for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And the one theme that we've heard over and over again is just what a field that we have across all of these divisions, but especially the late model stock car race. Over 40 cars trying to get in this field. It's just incredible. One of the best late model stock car fields I've ever seen.
Landon Pimbleton quoted me yesterday, and he quoted himself actually, and he said, this is like a field at Martinsville where the competition is so tough. These are the good cars from Martinsville, and so he feels that this one could be like that. And of note, he's won it twice, so I feel like he's won 4 races here this year already. So if we're already talking about possible favorites, I think he's won.
We've got winners on winners on winners. We have people that have won this race in particular many times. We have people that have won other Virginia Triple Crown races and just race winners in general. We have a few rookies and guys that are actually looking for their first race win. You are now looking at Southside Disposal Pure Stock Pole Qualifying. So it is a busy day. The late models will certainly be the feature, but we don't want to forget about our other 3 divisions, including these guys and gals right here, the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks. They're going to qualify. Then it's Dollar General Hornets qualifying. Then we will have Budweiser Limited Sportsman qualifying. And then we'll get to the Hitachi Energy late models. And guys, we are learning so much in this practice day. We learned a lot from the practice yesterday, Blake, but boy, when the teams unloaded today and turned a few laps early on, you and I and basically anybody else could see there were some changes on track.
Yeah, there were, especially this morning, and this is something that a lot of these teams will talk about. We're even going to see here in pure stock qualifying that's going on right now. Again, a little bit of a schedule adjustment going on here with the threat of inclement weather. We've decided to move up the schedule a couple of hours, but then in the midst of a practice session, we had an oil down on the front stretch. You can actually see a little bit right there, even through 1 and 2, some of the speedy dry that was laid down in the midst of Hornet practice a little bit earlier. So getting these last couple of rounds in for what will be qualifying for the Pure Stocks and the Hornets before we get going a little bit later on for Halifax Pole Award qualifying for the late model stocks.
Well, it allows us also to give a great shout to our track crew, our race officials, race control, being able to spot that very quickly and say, we got to take the time here. Of course, we talk about driver safety and everything, and it trumps all. So out there, our track crew is amazing. We got so many excellent safety vehicles, Kyle, that help us out and get this track clear. I imagine we'll have a couple more pure stocks. I know we normally have more than 7, but right now Caleb Sanford at the top of the charts with a 18.257. He set pole once before this season in the opening weekend of 2026, but we got some other competitive cars to come out here. Even your winner from 2 weeks ago, Dylan Davis.
So thrilling what Dylan Davis did 2 weeks ago, getting his first victory of the season. Yeah, and Johnny Lane won 2 weeks ago as well. Johnny Lane looking to make some history today. Fans, a chance to become the winningest all-time pure stock driver. Also in this group, you had B.J. Reeves. You have, you mentioned Andrew Turner, I believe. And the info on your screen should be accurate there. It's another little snafu we had. Race monitor went down for a while, but it looks like we're good to go now. And Blake, thank you for mentioning that schedule adjustment. Folks, we basically just moved everything up 2 hours. We're going to try to start our pre-race ceremonies at 4:30. That means the first Gutterworks green flag will fly around 5 p.m. today. And it's short track racing, Blake. You and I discussed, I mean, it's always sticky when it happens, but it's not anything new. I mean, schedules get changed all the time.
Well, again, the weather, how many cars we have. Again, there was a planned LCQ going into this race, depending on how many cars qualify. We'll see exactly if that's going to come into play. So we'll keep you up to speed, up to tune on everything that's going on in terms of when things are laying out throughout the course of the day. Do want to say, though, that we have a huge number of fans here that are here at the racetrack, despite the fact that, again, practice was supposed to start about a little over an hour ago or so. We still have what was originally planned for about a 7 o'clock green flag, moving up a couple of hours. We have a lot of fans that have come out here to the racetrack to watch qualifying, and hopefully will be joining on with us later on for the races. B.J. Reeves looks like he'll take the fastest time so far in pure stock qualifying.
Jay Hemingway, he's up to second. He's still out there making some laps off turn 4 this time, trying to pick it up. You get 5 laps in qualifying. It'll be a little bit different today for some things. You are allowed to make 5 laps. Not all drivers take all the 5 laps, but Jay Hemingway was trying for everything he had right there. He's won already this season, won in his 5th start of his career. So trying to maybe do it again tonight on the biggest race night of the season in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, but it's B.J. Reeves that will take his first pole of the season. He needs some speed, and he was good 2 weeks ago. Felt like he was the best he's ever been all season in 2026, Kyle.
I think he's getting better and better. You know, B.J. Reeves is a guy last year who told us, I want to win, so I'm not afraid to make some big swings and big changes. I'd rather finish 7th than 2nd place, if that makes sense. And Blake, you know, you've got some experience as a fan and a driver. It's an interesting spot to be in where you're like, hey, it's either first or worst here for me, so I'll try anything with the car setup. Well,
again, it depends on what the goal is. If you want to just collect as many trophies as possible, there's certainly an approach in how you set up your car and kind of the risks you're willing to take behind the wheel to try to make that happen. But of course, you know, that's not the agenda for everybody. Some folks want to compete for the season-long championship here at South Boston Speedway, which will continue to happen throughout all of these divisions. And for those weekly competitors that are a part of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 and late model stocks later on tonight, they will collect track points that'll contribute to their season-long journey to try and win a championship here at South Boston Speedway. Not for the competitors that are just coming in for the 200, but if you see a Landon Pimbleton, a Blake Stallings, or Trevor Ward, they will be collecting championship points for tonight as if it were a weekly show just against those competitors.
Well, and to give clarification on that as well, Blake, it's if you've had one previous start in 2026.
Easier way to say
previous to this race. So those drivers that are coming in for the first time this season, like Aiden Millett or Connor Jones or some of them, they will not receive track points. Now, of course, everyone will receive national points. So this is still going to everyone's D1 national standing within the NASCAR local racing series powered by O'Reilly Auto Parts. But we don't want to make it too complicated already, but there's a lot going on today.
and of course, this is the first race of the Triple Crown in 2026. And well, there's no points there. It's just your average finish over 3 races. So,
which keeps it really simple. It's really nice.
Very simple. It keeps all races the same or weighed the same. As you could see, some of the Hornets trying to make their way onto the track. Again, full pit area, both on the front stretch and the back stretch here at South Boston with all the cars that we have that are planning to compete with us this evening. So it's made things congested at times trying to get everything sorted out. But you know what? Great problem to have.
It's been a very busy racetrack the last 48 hours. Let's hit on that Triple Crown a little bit more, guys, because I think it is such a big deal. It is the 20th edition of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It'll be our 13th Triple Crown. And fellas, it seems like it gets bigger and bigger every year. Part of that is an injection from FloRacing. Triple Crown winner this season, 20 grand. That is not chump change, and that is something the drivers will tell you. Prestige, pride, yeah, that's in there, but the cash ain't bad either.
No, it's not, and Connor Hall knows exactly what that's like. He took home kind of the first edition when FloRacing and NASCAR came together to inject this purse money into this Triple Crown. He was able to take it home last year. In fact, he's won the last 2 editions of this race and looking to do so again. He was also the first person, if you think about last year, a program that's also carrying over into this Triple Crown. If you win this race, guess what? That's a spot at Martinsville in the starting field, guaranteed. And you know what? That's no small joke, because we get to Martinsville, sometimes we get 70 or 80 cars that are looking to try to make that race. So that is a big weight off the shoulders, Scott, if you're looking to try and win a Triple Crown.
It's a massive deal. And for Connor Hall, you know, we talk about he's been great here, especially the last 2 years. And then Langley, his home track, where he's made his hay, track champion there. He's won Hampton Heat over there, and it just gets better and better for him, and he's been able to cap it off with a decent Martinsville finish to be able to pick up that first Virginia Triple Crown for him. You got to think, we talk about favorites, he's another one, and he's back with his team that he won it with originally in 2024.
And I think it's wild that with some of the buildup this week, Connor Hall actually wasn't mentioned that much. You can win the race 2 times in a row, and you're not thought of as maybe the first pick. Now, we know what a great season Landon Pempleton has been having. Peyton Sellers, always a favorite. Trevor Ward. Then you get the injection of your Caden Honeycutts, your Brendan Queens, your Landon Lewises. The list really goes on. So there is almost so many favorites, so many heavy hitters. It is hard to feature just 1 or 2 drivers. That's why, you know, part of the reason what we're here for is to try to talk more and more about some drivers. And you're seeing a driver on your screen, Scott, that is actually doing double duty tonight.
Yes,
planning to.
And I'll clarify about that. That car is smoking. Yes, you see that. Owner of the car, Cameron Goebel, told me completely normal. He put a new engine in this car, and he said, it just smokes. He told race control Danny Willard, he said, Danny, it's going to smoke. Trust me, but it's nothing wrong, nothing bad with the car. But it is being piloted this weekend by Landon Huffman. So cool to see him jump in so many different things. We saw him jump in with the Crown Vic race with Cleus McFarland Blake. He's been doing some really cool stuff outside of the seat of the late model stock.
Yeah, he's always somebody that markets himself well, and this isn't the first time in a late model stock race. Again, I think it was at Orange County last year. He hopped in a Virginia Mini Cup, and I was kind of joking with him yesterday about, like, well, this at least has, a Virginia Mini Cup has fenders on it, but you
got more room for buffer inside the seat if you hit something.
He felt a little safer around going around South Boston Speedway, one of these Hornets. But yeah, it was a deal that came together. The owner of the car, as you were just mentioning, is a supporter of his Huffman Racing Radio podcast. And he said if he donated $150 to the show, that he'd hop behind the wheel of a Hornet, and here he is doing that, and right now is 3rd fastest.
It's just one of the great stories. You know, the drivers that are up front are always, I guess, the feature stories, not just for us, but maybe a lot of race fans. But throughout all of these fields, you have some incredible stories. Man, on the bottom of your screen there, Landon Milam has been an incredible story in the Dollar General Hornets division, basically dominating things. Scott, you and I have seen a lot of wins and a lot of Milam madness, but the car on the top of your screen, Jason DiCarlo, he captured the Milam bounty. He stopped the 4-race win streak. And now Jason DiCarlo, who is last year's division champ for the Hornets, has a chance to win another points title. And remember at the beginning of the season, Scott, DiCarlo told us, not really running for points this year, not going to defend that championship. All of a sudden, after some great finishes, that's changed a bit for Jason DiCarlo.
Well, and it's not like when he came out of the gate this season, he was on fire like he was in 2025. Really didn't have the greatest finishes. He had 2 second places in his first 4 starts, which are the good ones, but then he had a 6th and a 10th. Before coming into the season, he hadn't finished outside the top 2. He had finished not outside of the top 2 in 14 of his last 15 starts. So for DiCarlo's standards, it definitely was a lot slower than he would have liked, but he decided to keep on rolling, and it has paid off well. Look at this. Chris Pennick up to the top, scored his first career pole 2 weeks ago, and he's back on top.
I just think Chris Pennick has got a race win coming somewhere around the corner. Chris Pennick has the most laps led in the division, but he does not have a race win yet. He's actually got the most top 5s in the division. So he's put himself in position, just haven't hasn't quite been able to convert just yet. It does look like it will be a Southside Ice Pole Award for Chris Pennick. Good drive there for the 24 as you see him headed back to the tech shed. What else about the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, guys? Where else do we need to go, Blake? I know the conversation can go so many different ways, and as I said, we almost don't have enough time. But what's on your mind here as we get a little lull?
I think the biggest thing, and you brought it up earlier, we can kind of expound upon it a little bit, is what we were seeing in terms of the track changing today versus what we saw yesterday. Again, a number of these teams, they've been out here for a couple of days. They've been testing over the last couple of weeks, preparing for this race. A lot of teams, they put that focus on this race. They may not be a part of Torrent Series or a weekly show, but this Triple Crown is a big deal. They went through all that time yesterday trying to get used to the track and everything that goes with that. And then here they are Saturday morning. We see the practice going on, about an hour and a half ago or so, and it was quite noticeable to us. I think all the fans that were up here, how many cars were not handling that well, how much this track had gone through a significant change versus what they had yesterday. So I think a lot of teams, even going into that final practice session just before we rolled off the Pure Stocks and the Hornets, not that they're guessing, they're all very smart, they know what they're doing here, but it's been a little bit of a challenge. We saw a lot of cars really free on exit and through the center of the corner, and again, that's a problem you got to figure out quickly, Scott, because we know how important qualifying is. We're going to not start everybody that likely qualifies tonight. So you got to figure it out because track position here at South Boston is oh so important.
It is essential. And the interesting thing about the surprising track conditions or the surprising feelings that you were hearing on the radio from a lot of those Hitachi Energy late model stock car drivers is that we really didn't go through any big swings. There wasn't any rain overnight. You know, the rubber wasn't washed away, and neither has any other tire compounds been on track. So normally we talk about the track changing drastically. We talk about it with temperature or rain or rubber. Neither of those three things have changed since yesterday's later end of practice.
We've had a lot of cloud coverage, and I think if you were hoping, or not hoping, but if you were anticipating some rain and then you don't get it, all of a sudden that can be the wrench that's been thrown in your plans. Let me give you guys some concrete info here to think about, and our fans as well. In the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, we've had 19 previous editions. Pole position has won 5 times, not necessarily a flag-to-flag, wire-to-wire, but 5 wins, 4 runner-ups for pole position. So that means 9 of the 19 pole position has either been first or runner-up. Now, let me tell you this. Since COVID, post-COVID, that's only happened once. That was Corey Heim in 2022 that won from the pole. What do you make of that, Blake? Maybe not enough of a sample size to learn anything from that, or you think there's something in there?
Well, I think you got to mention, too, when talking about this racetrack, that it went through quite a drastic change after COVID because of the fresh pavement. So, yeah, a lot going on here. Why don't we go ahead and welcome in the 4th member of our broadcast team who is finally down there in the pit lane, James Pike. How are things down trackside? It's nervous up here. How's it down there?
I think nerves, honestly, are about what you're feeling down here too, Kyle and Scott and Blake. You mentioned earlier that the weather has changed the schedule. We pulled everything up a few hours in order to make sure that we get as much in here. And I think that really just elevated the energy levels and the nervousness amongst a lot of these teams. I've noticed in past Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200s, when we've been here, Saturday morning, it's usually pretty easy to talk to people. You can go around and walk around the garage and chat up folks, especially in the morning before practice gets going. Today, it was different because I think everybody anticipated that we were going to have a condensed schedule, so it was harder to get in touch with a lot of people. There were a lot more folks thrashing on cars, going back and forth just directly between their pit stalls, their race cars, and their haulers, trying to make sure that they were ready to go. The driver's meeting, there were a lot of questions that were asked. Everybody was just generally a little bit more on edge because we're working with the unknown. We don't necessarily know exactly how things are going to play out over the course of this afternoon and this evening. And that uncertainty, I think, has made folks very nervous. Another point I think worth making right at the top of our broadcast, we're not going to see as much riding around this year as we have in past years. That's been a consensus amongst all the drivers that I've talked to, that you will not be able to ride for 100 laps. You're going to have to fight to maintain the track position that you need so that you have a chance to end the night right here in Philip Morris Victory Lane and have a shot at the first leg of the Virginia Triple Crown.
Well, right now on track, you're seeing things that look like Hitachi Energy late model stock cars, but they are the Budweiser Limited Sportsman division, because we're going to get back to them. These are heavy hitters too, though. These are going to be great races. They've been great races all season. We just had our longest green flag run, Kyle, of the season out of them 2 weeks ago with 48 green flag laps in a row. It was a great run for them. I think we saw even Dennis Holderin, who finished in third, really exhausted out of the car because of all the heat. It is mid-June, end of July, so it is definitely hot, even though it is cloudy. Austin Detter will go to the top. Chris Hopkins has returned to action with us, Kyle.
Chris Hopkins from Stony Creek. You and I talked about his really extensive short track career and some great results. We'll see if Hopkins can rekindle that flame here on Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 Day. One for both of you guys. You know, this is a race that you hear about from drivers in the other divisions. It feels like a Super Bowl for them as well, because it's not often you get to race in front of 10,000 strong. And yeah, maybe you're not the main event, but when you get out of that car as a race winner, Blake, you sure feel like the main event.
Yeah, it's a special race, and one that, again, feels like a one-off, whether your season's going well or not going exactly how you planned. This is a type of race that you can make a lot of memories if things go very well. So Detter looking to do that right now, the current fastest in the Budweiser Limited Sportsman division at the moment. And like you were kind of talking about, Scott, just a little bit ago, about the wear and tear of this race in this place. I got to say, even walking around outside, I know we talk about the Triple Crown, it felt like Hampton heat humidity earlier today. We don't have a lot of sunshine right now. We've pretty much had cloud cover all day. But that would deceive you. It is very hot, very humid here today at South Boston Speedway.
And not often that we get that heat or humidity out here, especially this time of the year. We really, normally if we see heat, it's more of a dry heat. And I also want to say to the fans, if the fans can hear me right now, we got 50-50 walking around. You want to make sure you get in on that 50-50. Fans, if you're joining us on FloRacing right now, or you're watching on Flo 24/7, we want to make note as well, at 3:30 we will be transitioning over to our slated Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 broadcast. So if you see that we're being moved, we'll be over there at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 broadcast under South Boston Speedway. So Landon McGowan is out there as well. Trace Daniel, he's up at the top.
One other thing for the fans, both in person and watching around the world, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson's got a great giveaway going. Visit southbostonspeedway.com to learn more about this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson giveaway. They have been a proud partner for us here at South Boston Speedway for many, many years. You can see them on Riverside Drive in Danville, and they're online at thunderroadhd.com. Hey, let's talk about the guy that's in the ride, sponsored by Thunder Road Harley-Davidson, our great friend Brandon Pierce. Blake, you've seen Brandon race as much as anybody now that he's the Cars Tour Ironman. Nobody more starts in the Cars Tour than Brandon Pierce. Wow, this would mean so much for him to finally win this event. It's felt like a dream that's just been slightly out of his grasp. You never know, this could be the year. And
this is kind of a part of the year where Brandon seems to run well, whether it's the track slate in the Touring Series, the Cars Tour that he often runs in the summertime. This is usually around the time that he starts to put together some really solid runs. Has run well in the Hampton Heat for a number of years. And again, this is his 10th start in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And Scott, we always say it, whenever your sponsor is also the sponsor of the race, there's a little bit of extra pressure, because I'm sure those Harley-Davidson folks down in Danville, they would like to see this two-car run up front and perhaps end up in Philip Morris victory lane as well.
They definitely do, and it's his first outing with KP Speed Motorsport, and so he's been having a fairly good season with them, just trying to build up the relations with KP and everything over there with Kevin Powell, and it's worked out fairly well for him. He's felt strong about the team, but it's his 10th ever start in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and people have asked him about his Ironman career in the ZMAX Cars Tour. People have asked him, do you feel like you're ever slowing down? And he said, really, besides funding, I feel like I could go for 10 or 15 more years.
Yeah, he said the passion is there. The fire still burns. There's only 3 people that will attempt this race that have more starts in the 200. That's Peyton Sellers, Bobby McCarty, and Lee Pulliam. We'll talk about those guys in a second, fellas, as we watch some more times for the Limited Sportsman. But, Blake, you made me think about something when your sponsor is also sponsoring the race, what that pressure is. You guys saw a guy with a similar, different, but some similarities in the pressure a couple weeks ago at Dominion. Mini Tyrell win his Minis Mission race. Kind of the same vibe there, and I want to hear more from you two guys about not just what Mini did a couple weeks ago, but all of those drivers that were in that race and then also entered in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that were taking place at Dominion, and I know that those the racetrack at Dominion very different than what we have here. Way more banking, a ton of speed at both of these places, both kind of known as high grip racetracks. So at least easy for these teams to try and translate a little bit over from what they learned a couple of weeks ago. As we continue on here with Budweiser Limited Sportsman, it's still Landon McGowan, despite about a group or two that have gone out after that 8 car that are chasing a quick time of 15.755. The young driver who is competing in his first season in full-bodied stock cars right now, showing the way for these limited sportsmen's in qualifying, group qualifying, that we'll see both right now and when we get to the late model stock cars in the class after.
And Landon McGowan has been steadily improving. Best finish of the season 2 weeks ago, back in 7th place. He's kind of been improving here and there. He's only got 3 top 10s in his 9 starts. So 2 weeks ago, previous to that, he only had 2 in his previous 7 starts. And so he really has been doing that. He's been doing well. Look at Jacob Derrick. Speaking of a driver that has done well, won at the opening race of 2026. He's back with us. He's someone who's fast.
Yeah, he won last year as well in May, and I think he's a guy, any racetrack he shows up at, he's proving he is going to be a force. You wonder what his career trajectory might be. Does he at some point jump into a late model stock car? Maybe you just dominate the limited sportsman. I mean, you know, I think we get in that trap of thinking, oh, you always got to move up. You always got to do something different. There's something to be said for just owning a division, and if you have fun and you're successful, why not continue there? But I think we'll see Jacob Derrick start to dabble in some other things as well, Blake. I thought you made a great point earlier when we were coming on. It's just a question of goals. Not every driver and team has the same goals, and it's fun when you can meet those goals regardless of what they might be for you individually.
Yeah, and any race car driver, they want to go out there and try to win as much as they can. As, man, just looking at the times here, we see Derrick pulling in, a couple of these drivers kind of going towards the limited sportsman pit area that's on the back stretch, and takes them a little bit of time to get over there with how full the pit area is. But just look at the top 4 right now, under 0.03 of a second, that separate what would be provisionally our first 2 rows in this Budweiser Limited Sportsman race. So great competition that I think will be a theme that we talk about all evening long.
Someone that could rival that, the 33 of Dan Rogers, currently 4th in points, only 39 points back from your championship leader of Drew Dawson from Powhatan, Virginia. He's got 4 top 5s in his 9 starts. 7 of those are top 10s as well. His best finish 1 month ago, he finished 2nd. He's someone that I think is a little bit sneaky, Kyle, kind of always around, able to avoid trouble, because we talk about drivers that are family-owned, small teams. He is absolutely one of those. It's him and his wife, and it's really impressive to see what they have done already in just their first season.
4th in points right now for Dan Rogers. I'm thoroughly impressed. Won 5 times at Dominion last year. So he is a guy, he could win at South Boston Speedway, and you mentioned it. We love those do-it-yourselfers. Nothing like having a great race team and having the funding and the support and all that, but I know we've all got a soft spot in our hearts for just those do-it-yourself race teams, as you and I are checking out some of the visuals on the Kyle Dudley team down there in the pits. We'll get a shot at this at some point. We are celebrating America's 250, and we are close to July 4th, fellas, so I have been loving the patriotic-themed outfits and clothing options that some of our drivers, teams, and fans have chosen to go with this weekend.
If you were watching our FloRacing broadcast yesterday, you would have seen Connor Jones before and after practice. He had that American flag overall deal on, and now all of Kyle Dudley's team does. I love it. It's just America. It's awesome. Speaking of America, look at Drew Dawson. Yeah. New numbers for him. It's America themed, just like this whole weekend. Also want to make mention that Chris Elliott went to the top of the boards by a decent margin, 4 hundredths over Brian Rundstrom into the 5.64s. So Elliott Hasn't won since 2017, Kyle.
Led some laps last time out, and really I was impressed with Chris Elliott. Drew Dawson ends up winning that race. Dawson's still on track. He's bumped up to third. Brunelli has taken over the quick time. Let's see if Dawson shows improvement going by there. Nope. Looks like Tristan Brunelli might be on pole for back-to-back races in our Budweiser Limited Sportsman division. Tristan Brunelli, Blake, is a driver with an incredible trajectory. Working with the Torp Chassis guys, he and Andrew Grady are becoming buddy-buddy, sharing information. He's high-skilled as well. We're seeing his growth right before our eyes.
I got to say, Dennis Holdren just caught it out of the corner of my eye. He had a big moment off of turn 4. Still fast, though. Fourth fastest at a 15.670. But cool to see these drivers starting to move around the racetrack. Everybody running the bottom in 1 and 2. Again, these limited sportsmen, not quite as much power as what we'll see in the late model stock cars a little later on today. Again, they were qualifying about 3 or 4 tenths faster in their mock runs just this morning.
Blake, I don't know how big of an effect it could be, but we were talking about the slowness in practice. We were talking about the incident of the oil and fluid being put onto the racetrack and the speedy dry going all the way down the front stretch. And that speedy dry is down on the entry in turn 1. I've seen drivers, I saw a couple kind of avoiding hitting the yellow line down there in this qualifying session. Do you think that's something we might continually see in the Hitachi Energy late model stock car division qualifying?
Well, I think where the cars enter, it's mostly been kind of washed up with some of those drivers and the Hornets and the Pure Stocks kind of running in that part of the racetrack. I don't think you'd naturally see the late model stock cars for a qualifying line go all the way down there. But I think at this point, probably not too much of a concern. But what a lap for Tristan Brunelli, 15.520, and it looks like it's going to be good enough to sit at the top of the charts.
Back-to-back poles for Tristan Brunelli. Great drive there. We are in Go Halifax Pole Qualifying, fans. You are watching the build-up to the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And we are glad to have you here watching around the world. Our grandstands are filling up. I think we're going to be about 10,000 strong by the time we drop our first Gutterworks green flag. Late models are coming up here, fellas. They will be vying for the Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award. $500 extra there. We've got all kinds of extra prize money up for grabs today for stage leaders, halfway leaders, hard chargers, fastest lap, hard luck award. The list goes on and on, Scott. And again, that is just part of what builds to it. You know, when you got all those additional awards, it must be a big race.
It absolutely is. And I think if it has not been stated, it has now. Everyone knows that the 20th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 is the biggest ever in history. Get another shot of Kyle Dudley and his team.
Yeah.
Just so awesome, so patriotic. We love to see it. Something that we kind of have danced around and talked about a little bit about the possibility of the LCQ and talking about the top 34 will be locked in through Go Halifax Pole Qualifying. The rest will set the starting lineup for the LCQ, Kyle.
Yeah, and I think we've anticipated maybe a car here or there dropping out, guys. Again, that's sort of the typical thing that happens in these big races. So we have lost 1 or 2 cars that practiced yesterday, or were on the entry list anyway. But we're still going to head out there 40-plus strong. It sounds like South Boston Speedway Management is only comfortable starting 40. There's some wiggle room there, and the drivers have been alerted to that. That's the other thing. None of this stuff is a guessing game. Everybody knows what's going on. We have some promoters' provisionals that are available if that becomes necessary. Obviously, if you're a driver, you're not even thinking about that. You're thinking,
no.
let me set a fast time. Let me get up front in one of those first couple rows.
Yeah, that's the mentality, but it's so difficult to try and pull off when the field is as close as it is. I was talking with Michael Bumgarner yesterday, and I mean, I said, hey, you pick up a 10th, you go from outside the top 15 to inside the top 3 just in that practice session, because just all these teams, they continue each and every year to continue to improve their programs. They build up some notes, and it's just made this a really prestigious race to try and make. And throughout the pit area, everybody was saying the same thing. This is the most competitive field I've ever been a part of. And even somebody like Bobby McCarty, former winner of this race, competes here on a weekly basis. And you know, there's always kind of an interesting little rivalry. I think you guys posted as SOBO versus the world, those drivers that compete here on a weekly basis, that know that this is a big event, that has a huge draw, that brings in a lot of cars and a lot of different teams, a lot of big names, but they still want to be the ones that show, hey, South Boston, we're for real here, even on a weekly basis.
Well, and I think you mentioned on some of those names, some of the regulars, some of the top, especially leading our point standings, Trevor Ward, Peyton Sellers, Landon Pimbleton, Bobby Mack. Also, young Connor Waddell. We'll get to chat about him some more and how impressive he has been to us. But then you talk about some of those drivers that are coming in. We talk about the world. We talk about the Lee Pulliams, Connor Halls, Brendan Queen. The list goes on and on of drivers who have been successful here at South Boston Speedway, but just aren't running for the championship this season.
Well, let's talk about a guy who's had major success here, but is also kind of falling into that outsider category, Caden Honeycutt. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is lighting it up on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He won our Crush 250 race in the fall, longer race there. He won the Cars Tour race here in the fall, longer race there. So I think he has to be considered. And, you know, he's talked about, hey, I'm only young once. I'm excited to go race different places, try different things. I think Caden Honeycutt's going to be great. You know, you look at everybody from the Truck Series that had good runs in San Diego that's here this week with Brendan Queen, Landon Lewis, Minnie Tyrell. It might be Truck Series versus SOBO versus the world.
It definitely could be. You talk about Honeycutt, really seems like he can drop in at a lot of different cars or a lot of different places and be successful. He's raced dirt, he's raced pavement, he's raced at some top levels, but we'll see what he has today. He's coming off 2 wins, most recently at South Boston Speedway. We'll take a break before we get to Go Halifax Qualifying on Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 Race Day.
Hey, I'm Blake Stallings.
Nathan Cruz.
Justin Dawson.
Bobby McCarty.
You're watching SOBO.
SOBO on Flow.
Welcome back to South Boston Speedway. We're getting set for Go Halifax Pole Qualifying. James Pike has Andrew Grady downstairs.
He is somebody who's known a lot about South Boston. You know how to get around this place. How has running here full-time helped you understand this place better?
I've learned it. It's so much different than anywhere in the country. The grip, the little nuances in line. Being here all year has really upped me as a driver, especially for the big money races here like today and the 250 later in the year. So it's helped all around, and I'm excited for it.
Andrew Grady going to get ready and Go Halifax Pole Qualifying in a little bit.
Thanks, James. I'm Kyle Haney. Blake McCandless to my left. Scott Shive on the other side of the room here. It's a very small press box at South Boston Speedway, but this is a beautiful facility. If you've never been here before, you got to come check us out in person, but you are now watching Go Halifax Pole Qualifying for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It'll be group qualifying, 5 laps. Chase Johnson is out there in the opening group. And let's also mention, fellas, that they will qualify in order of practice times, slowest to fastest. So these were the slowest in the final practice group today. Doesn't mean they were slow yesterday. Doesn't mean they were going to be slow in the race. But generally, this does give us an idea of where these cars are at. And early on, you'll see Kyle Dudley with the quick time in this 3-pack. Third car out there was the 13 of Chase Murphy, making his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut.
And I got to say, I know this is early on in qualifying, and we may say, oh, these are the cars that didn't show some speed earlier. 15.298, that's a great lap for Kyle Dudley, and one that, when we were looking earlier, I mean, there were, what, 2 or 3 cars that got into the 2/10 second bracket earlier in practice?
Really, so, just in that low. Yeah. We didn't see anybody in the ones.
Yeah, so Kyle Dudley, that is a lap that I think is going to stand the test of time as we continue to go out. Again, super competitive field, but I think that lap may not be a pole winning lap, but it's definitely going to be a good one there for Kyle Dudley.
I think so. Next 3 drivers on track. Devin George with All-American Motorsports in his Chevrolet, and a chassis with AH Race Cars. That's actually Chase Burrow's own chassis late model development, as well as the 57 of Landon Huffman and the Carroll Speed Shop, Texas Roadhouse, and the High Rock Vodka Chevrolet. And also out there, our very own Jason Myers.
We love Jason Myers. He's a two-time division champion in the limited sportsman ranks. His dad, Billy, is a legend around here. He won 3 division points championships. Jason hasn't quite figured out what he needs to be successful in the late model ranks, but you gotta say, Scott, he continues to come out here. He loves racing in the big races as well. He's a guy that you never know. He's got the skills to spring an upset, just might need the right circumstances in a race to pull that off. Right now, that time from Kyle Dudley is holding firm at the moment. And you want to stay out of the last chance qualifier, fellas, if we have it. That's still up in the air right now as we work on the numbers and see how many drivers we have. Even if without a last chance qualifier, it'd be nice to not be at the tail end of a field that's going to be 20 rows deep at least when we start.
Well, and Andrew Grady, to make a positive from last year to this year, if he just makes it past lap, if he makes it into the race and then makes it past lap 1 in this race, it will be a success. We had that big pileup in turn 3 last season. It took out quite a lot of good drivers, and Jason Myers was involved as well. But you mentioned it, you know, wanting to run in the late model stock car ranks, and he was 2-time champion in the limited sportsman division, and he's been running, trying to get better and better in the Hitachi Energy late model stock car division, and we can see a little bit hot for the 25 of Devin George.
Yeah, they are pushing water right there for Devin George. Got to talk to him yesterday, an awesome young man, and good to see him out here making some laps. Again, kind of brand new to running these cars here at South Boston Speedway, and want to give it on to Chase Murphy too. That's a lap that, you know, that's a car that they've made a lot of gains on over the last day or so. So solid lap for him that is going to be close, but I think might be good enough to put him in the show.
Getting a look at Brandon Pierce and his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson #2. He's got some other great sponsor support as well, but BP is one of our local guys. He says,
oh, man, he got a little loose out of 2.
He calls this place home there. I don't know if he wanted to be that at home with the racetrack there. It's a little slip inside. You can see that wiggle again, yeah. Talk about that more, Blake, because that's what we saw in our first practice session today. The cars got better, a little less yaw as the day went on, but we're seeing that there is still some issues with grip and traction.
So I specifically was listening to Brandon Pierce's radio earlier as he'll come around 2 to go. You could see kind of washes up on the entry, and actually he's just going to pull off here, but he was complaining about that same thing earlier today in practice, being really tight on the entry, and then he's putting so much wheel into it through the center of the corner that when you get back to the throttle, you have so much wheel in it that the car just wants to come around. So it's where that entry starts that has been hurting him. Is Mason Bailey going to come around and complete his lap time? Again, I think one of the more unique sponsors that we have out here, Firewall Deep. It's a racing novel, and a fiction book that I've added to my list and can't wait to read it.
It's actually written by his team owner, Chris Phillips. So Chris Phillips and his very own I heard you talking about that like a couple weeks ago. I think it was at Langley, and I'm like, I kind of want to read it now too. So Mason Bailey, we've known him over here quite a couple. Qualified 4th last year, so had a great qualifying last year. I don't think it's going to be as good this year. It's obviously 5th right now, and I think he will move down. But man, Dudley out in the first group, and he's still up at the top.
And I got to say, I wouldn't, with the way Brandon Pierce's car looked, I didn't expect it to be 3rd fastest right now.
Oh, I agree with you.
That looked like a handful. And how about Myers, P2 right now? Great lap for Jason Myers.
Yeah, really, we're seeing some intriguing things already. I mentioned slowest to fastest when they set these groups, but it doesn't mean you can't have some great stories early on in qualifying as Dudley is holding steady, and we get to check out the next grouping of cars. Aiden Millette out there on the track, along with Michael Bumgarner. Michael Bumgarner in that 51 up top. He's a great story, a guy that has dominated a racetrack, and Bumgarner goes to the top. He's done everything and anything at Hickory, and now he's going to take his show on the road and see what he can do at South Boston Speedway. So far, so good.
I don't think he got the wall off of 4, but he pulled away from it to make sure he didn't get into it. That was close there for Michael Bumgarner, but an initial foray into late model stock racing for Rick Ware Racing. They've been a part of the Cars Tour Pro Late Model division now for the last couple of years with a handful of drivers hopping in. They won the Owners' Championship in that series a year ago, but Bumgarner thrilled to get the opportunity to run for them here in the late model stocks, and after a great run, really promising run that he had at Martinsville with his family-owned team. Cool to see him in a Triple Crown here. As we get another look at Michael Bumgarner off of 4. Again.
Oh, wow. He definitely maybe touched it.
It's hard to tell. I don't think he did, but
I say definitely, definitely maybe. I think that's a bit of a contradiction.
Maybe.
Well, it looked like maybe could have bounced off, but again, we will not know, and maybe it's the white on those tires we might see. But our next group is up. We are back out. Bumgarner up at the top. It's Riley Music out there in his 47. Minnie Tyrell making his first ever start with the RNS house car, as well as the one of Andrew Grady, who James Pike got to talk to and seemed fairly optimistic after his run so far through this 2026 season.
Yeah, Andrew Grady's always fantastic on the mic, and I think he's another one that's developed a following just because of what he can do. He's a passionate driver. One we left out from the other group was Thomas Bean. Bean was up
fastest.
Bean was up in 3rd for a moment, and then Grady just hopscotched him as Andrew Grady showing some speed, steadily improving on each lap for the one of Andrew Grady. Impressive stuff. You're getting a look at Minnie Tyrell there as he goes steaming around the 4/10 of a mile oval here at South Boston Speedway.
And really cool for Minnie. I got to speak with him yesterday about kind of how his life changed here at this racetrack 7 months ago. This was the final stop in the Ram race for the Seat reality TV show. He ends up winning that seat, and what a great memory it was for him. He even said pulling up to the track yesterday, it all kind of came back to him. And this is a track he's run very well at with his family-owned team. This is the RNS race car team, so different numbers, same chassis that he typically runs with his cars, though. But not a bad lap there for Minnie Tyrell.
I think that was one question we had, and we'll hit on it later, of, he's run really well here in his own equipment. This is the first time he's with the RNS house team, so it could be a little bit different there. Carroll's Speed Shop driver, 44, Connor Jones. First year with them, already got a win in the Cars Tour and was on route to a win 2 weeks ago at Dominion when he got crossed up with Carson Brown, who's also in the field. So he's trying to rebound after having a really great run 2 weeks ago.
Another car in the RNS stable that's on track right now is the number 10 of Trey Cruz. He's a bit of a local legend himself, and we all talked about that RNS stable, and it truly is a strong stable of thoroughbreds with 4 cars attempting to make this start. We have now seen 2 of them on track, as Michael Bumgarner's time still holding strong. Trey Cruz jumping up to 4th there. And the info on your screen is accurate. Guys, I think still marveling at Kyle Dudley going out in that first group, and he's still sitting what would be on the 2nd row right now.
Really impressive. Kyle Dudley, he's our 100th ever Hitachi Energy late model stock car winner just a couple of years ago. Kyle Dudley, we call him the gentleman. Guy usually has that fire suit with the tux on it. He's not afraid. He's used to the pole. Won the pole here for this race in 2024, and in the same year won pole at the Valley Star Credit Union 300. So he knows how to get it done and be fast. He's up in 4th. All right, Ronnie Bassett Jr. making his debut with Nelson Motorsports in the number 12. Also the 63 of Tyler Matthews making his Triple Crown debut, and Tristan McKee in the number 7 making his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut.
What a group this is, Blake. Let's start with Tristan McKee there. He's got the youngest ever in front of a lot of statistics for him. He has won races and won them at a very young age. This would feel like another big, bold line on the resume for somebody like Tristan McKee.
It really would, and he's somebody who ran very well here in the fall in the Cars Tour race last year. Had a lot of speed, was up front, kind of mixing it up for the win, for not being able to bring it home, got wrapped up in a late incident. Really good lap there for Matthews. We hadn't talked about him. He goes up to 4th.
Yeah, Tyler Matthews.
He was busy yesterday. We tried to talk to him, and he was busy working on his race car, and yet here he is. He is all business here for Tyler Matthews. 4th fastest. Great run for him.
5 races in our late model division prior to this point this season. He said before this year, he hadn't raced here since before they resurfaced it. We went back and looked. He hadn't driven here since 2016, but he is making the Virginia Late Model Triple Crown a big part of his program this year. So expect to hear more from us on Tyler Matthews. Here's a great one, young driver with maximum talent from the eastern part of Maryland. It's Seaweed. Connor Waddell has impressed everybody this season. He's done basically everything but get a race win, guys. And in our season opener, he battled Lee Pulliam. I mean, even Lee said, yeah, I think that number 8 was a better car today. I just had to refuse to lose. He was very complimentary of what Connor Waddell did racing him.
7 podiums in a row, and 6 of those are 3rd places. One of them is is a second. So he has been uber consistent, and he has had a great long run machine. So he's definitely a young rookie I look at tonight to make the race and be strong once we get there. Bobby Mack out there, two-time champion of this race in 2021 and 2023. And Doug Barnes Jr., he's had some strong runs here before. He was leading the Crush 250 when he had a restart infraction, Kyle, which put him to the rear of the field, and he felt he was the fastest car that day, and it looked to be so.
Yeah, P6 in the Crush 250 for Air Doug, and he's another one, Blake. You've been watching Doug for years. Talent has never been in doubt for that guy.
No, and got to talk to him yesterday, and, he felt really good about, what they had done to their car. Late run yesterday didn't feel so good. They went back on those changes, and they seemed to have that same speed, second fastest for Doug Barnes Jr. Again, a number of these drivers, they're going out, and it's lap one for them in terms of when they're going to run their fastest lap. As we see a new group, Donovan Strauss, very impressive early. Oh my goodness, Landon Lewis down into the 15-1s for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, car 29 out of Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Landon Lewis, 600ths clear of the rest of the field right now, and even Tate Fogelman goes out. Third fastest right now in car number 8.
Tate Fogelman, he was one that was battling for the win between Matt Waltz as well as Connor Hall.
Lewis said, I'm done.
Ago.
He ain't even running the extra laps.
Why not? I mean, hey, he's the first person all day to break into the 15-1s. It's a 15-169. Donovan Strauss, he's using up all of the laps he can in that number 51. It's number 51 with Hettinger Racing, and he has been honoring Kyle Busch with that 51 since the Langley, and it's been great to see him honor KB.
Again, he ran with Hettinger Racing last season in the Cars Tour, and back with them here for the 200.
Landon Lewis, really impressive drive there in what will be his Triple Crown debut, not just a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut. The Superman is flying again. That's Blake Stallings in the number 77. Some pretty good practice efforts from Blake Stallings, who has not been getting the race results that he wants. He's winless this year in weekly racing at South Boston Speedway. Winless last year, but he did win 3 times in 2024. And he's dominated at Ace Speedway in a couple seasons. He's joined in this group by the 00 of Chase Burrow.
00, Chase Burrow out there, won 1 year ago at Langley in the Cars Tour, his first win over there, and he's done really well in his couple starts this season. He's got 4 top 10s, one of those being a top 5 in the middle of May, a 5th place for him. But Trevor Ward, it's a guy that I feel like we're going to be talking about a good bit tonight, our current championship points leader. Kyle, you made a great note, has led laps in 7 races, but has only completed 2 of them to get to victory lane.
Yeah, he's won a couple poles this season. You and I have spoken to Trevor. He said, qualifying was not exactly an Achilles heel last year, but it was something I wanted to improve on, and he has improved on it this season. Currently sitting in 5th right now is Trevor Ward. The times at the top are joined by Chase Burrow. Burrow working himself into what would be the 2nd row with at least 2 or 3 more. Yeah, we'll say at least 3 more groups of late models set to take time. And here we go. Feast your eyes on this automobile coming out of the pits right here, fans. That is Lee Pulliam in the number 8, the NASCAR channel number 8. Lee Pulliam, that short track supernova, is back to try it again in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, an event that he has won 6 times.
It's hard to imagine that he has 53 wins here at South Boston, including one in the season opener earlier this year, looking for number 54 tonight as his first lap is good for 11th fastest. And oh, by the way, a 1/10 of a second right now is the difference between starting 11th, where Pulliam is right now, and starting 26th. That's how tight this field is right now.
It's crazy. And the first win came in 2008. And his last win, besides March, came in 2019. So all of that done within an 11-year span for Pulliam. Someone who's impressed in the Triple Crown has been the 03 of Brendan Queen, 3-time winner of the Hampton Heat 200. Only made 2 late model stock car starts since going ARCA racing 1 year ago. So he said it's like getting back on a bike.
4 Craftsman Truck Series top 10s this season for Brendan Queen. And you talk about fan favorites. You know, he was one when I was walking around during our practice. You see a lot of Butterbean shirts out there. You see a lot of Lee Pulliam gear. You see a lot of Landon Pembleton, Trevor Ward, Peyton Sellers. And you're going to see some of those cars on track right now. You've definitely got the 26 of Peyton Sellers out there. And yes, the 0 of Landon Pembleton is out there as well, fellas.
This running now will be past 34 drivers. So with this group, we will start to see drivers be knocked out and have to go to LCQ. Remember, only the top 34 will qualify for the race. The rest will have to go to the LCQ. Devin George off the bubble now. He's 35th. He will have to go to the LCQ. On the bubble now looks to be Landon Huffman.
How about Woody Howard, Brendan Queen, 6th and 7th? But Howard, a great run, was talking to him yesterday, and it was kind of, well, we'll see what happens. Again, he was in the running to almost win the Triple Crown going into Martinsville last year, and picking up right where he left off here. P7, Ryan Millington up to 2nd as well. Man, that is a driver that needs a run like this.
Absolutely. Ryan Millington's been bouncing around in some different cars and some different outfits, but I think he is one that could really surprise some people and turn some heads. That's a head-turning qualifying time.
Sellers may have gotten, or at least got close to hitting the wall there off of 4, still 12th.
Well, it's not the first time we've seen that, so unpack that a little bit. You know, we were talking about entries were being a little bit tricky. We're seeing some drivers having trouble with the exit as well and getting it straightened out as they go down the front and back straightaway.
Top 3 in points, 8th, 11th, and 12th currently in qualifying with just 7 drivers left to take time. Sam Yarborough in the 95 hasn't started in this race since 2024. Brandon Lopez making his debut. Same with Carson Brown in the 5 running for Lee Pulliam Performance.
We were impressed by Brandon Lopez in practice. You know, he's working with Trevor Ward Motorsports, and Trevor Ward's got as much knowledge as anybody. He is passing that on to Brandon Lopez, who, when you talk to short track insiders, they'll tell you he's got as much talent as anybody. By my count, he's raced at least a dozen different racetracks this season. He is really getting an education in race car driving quickly.
Look at Yarborough up to 3rd, 15.221. What a lap for Carson Brown. He'll bump Yarborough back to 4th. Brown will go to 3rd with a 15.208.
And that's a big pickup for Carson Brown. Heard his radio communications earlier. They felt like they were in the racetrack a little bit earlier today. Looks like they picked that car up, and it definitely is rewarding him with a little bit of speed. Again, I can't imagine that a 280 is outside the top 10. Never would have thought that.
No, I would not have either. It is a crazy, crazy day. It's a crazy racetrack. I don't think we expected to see conditions like this. We didn't expect to see drivers having to battle this hard. One of our final groups set to take time, Caden Quapple, as well as defending and 2-time winner, Connor Hall.
A 287 right now is 14th.
Wow.
99 thousandths of a second slower is 30th.
Wow. So close between so many of these drivers. And interesting about these 2 drivers on track, Connor Hall has won with the team he's driving for this weekend already, and he's won with the team that's on track with him as well, with Junior Motorsports.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, man, we got a challenge for the front row. Quapple to 2nd. 4,000th shy of Landon Lewis.
He has not been great at qualifying in the Z-Max Cars Tour. He is known to come from the back, and he's done it 2 times to get the win from the back. Not known for his qualifying speed, but you said it. He is fast now here today for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 pole qualifying with Go Halifax.
Landon Lewis still with the top spot on the board. Let's see if one of these guys can unseat that. We'll have a couple more cars to still go out and take time.
Hall bumped up to 6th, but it looks like both of them are going to pull off.
Man, 4,000ths.
Well, what's interesting is he won in both those cars, basically, at least the paint schemes.
Yes.
Anyway, the white 88 and then also the red 22 of Nelson Motorsports there. Good stuff from both those drivers. Here we go. Couple people that we have mentioned, and with good reason. There's the number 17 of Caden Honeycutt on track to try to unseat Landon Lewis and perhaps win the Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award.
Very different between these 2 drivers. You've got Craftsman Truck Series driver with Tricon Garage, and you've got a driver who's come over from the Modifieds 2 years ago in Carson Lofton in his sophomore season with a late model stock car, Blake.
Well, and not only in a sophomore season, but this is only his 2nd week with the Mike Darn Racing team. Debuted feud with them after running with Nelson Motorsports for the majority of the last year and a half. And he's taken quite well to this team and kind of the veteran presence that he needed. Honeycutt been one of the strongest cars that has paced a number of sessions throughout this weekend, and right now is able to crack the top 10 for Lofton. He's 27th at the moment with the 356. Maybe one more good lap in Honeycutt, and he goes into the 15-1s. It's not good enough for the front row, but it's fast enough for third. Caden Honeycutt, who won here last fall at South Boston Speedway, looking to do it here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, comes up just shy of landing on the front row.
Lofton moves up to 24th, Honeycutt into third, but unofficially for your Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award, it will be Landon Lewis. He's quoted this weekend already for saying, you know, we feel like we have better speed at the flat tracks, not the high-speed tracks. You know, at some point, I just think he's got to be fooling us.
Well, I think he's just good everywhere, but
That's
you're right.
very true.
There might be some sandbagging in there for the young guy from Supply, North Carolina. Electric Landon is going to take home the Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award. Everybody's still got to roll through tech, and we'll talk about that if anything happens down there. But boy, we have had a fun day so far, fans. Get set for even more. We are on track to start our pre-race ceremonies in about an hour, and our first Gutterworks green flag will fly at 5 p.m. today here at South Boston Speedway. You are watching the 20th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. This is SOBO on Flow.
The arena is South Boston Speedway, the first leg of the Virginia Triple Crown, and our combatants are the likes of Sellers, Pimbleton, and the man atop the national standings, Trevor Ward. They're SOBO's finest, and Saturday night they take on the reigning champion, the people's champion, and the entire nation of Bean. But they all are chasing the GOAT. 6 times Lee Polium's status has been enforced, but Connor Hall just doesn't care. He only asks the question, what have you done for me lately? Because yes, this is SOBO, and to win here you need ice in your veins. However, can it withstand the heat as Hampton brings you its hometown hero and its own music? This is Murderers Row, and Saturday night the Speedway becomes it as SOBO and Langley take on the world in the 20th edition of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.